Hey everyone, how's it going today and welcome back to another update. So we have actually relatively great news to share in today's update, and it really is the fact that there are now officially 4 states that have officially approved, again mentioning is it's officially approved an unemployment benefits extension program for select people within those states. Now, as always, is that I think it's important to note and relatively interesting to just know in general, because I think the most important thing is that even if you are not in one of these 4 states, the biggest thing is that it shows what's possible. And I think at the end of the day, almost everything has to start with one state before it can hopefully try to build on and have a lot more states to kind of follow along and do something. What this really is that essentially it is a brand new unemployment benefits program that is supposed to help or revolve around the vaccine mandates. In other words, it is a way for people that either lose their jobs or have something in terms of struggling to get work related to the vaccine in order to get now the opportunity to come back to the unemployment program. But one of the biggest differences, and I think what makes this particularly special now is that it's not just for people that lose their jobs because they get fired, but it's also now for people that decide to choose to leave their job. So in other words, the most powerful thing is that if this program applies to you, you now get the option, if you guys want to take up onto this program. And I think that's the most insightful thing. So we're going to talk all about that in today's update. But as always, maybe real fast before we begin, consider smashing the like button, because at least we are now talking about an approved program, which I think is very, very great news. Consider subscribing for similar videos like this and other finance topics, especially as we start to evolve into talking a lot more about that. And as always, feel free to comment any questions, maybe personal thoughts about honestly just anything, maybe about your opinions about the vaccine, about Omicron, or really honestly just anything. Always great to say hi to new and familiar faces. So with that being said, let's get this video started. So to maybe start with the 4 states that have approved this program, which I think the really golden thing really is just the fact that every single state that now has this approved program is a GOP Republican state. So why this is golden is that, keep in mind, is that it was mostly the GOP Republican states that were the states that actually sadly ended unemployment relatively early, if you guys remember from what happened last summer, and most of them that actually were totally against this program in general. So to see like a group of states that were originally against unemployment now come out to support. Now obviously there's a circumstantial reason why they want to do it, but nonetheless at the end of the day, unemployment is unemployment. I think that is the really golden, promising, and hopeful thing. The 4 states that have this is right here. Essentially right now, it's going on specifically in Florida, Iowa, Kansas, and Tennessee. The timeline, if you just need a little bit of a background story, is that Iowa approved their program at the very, very end of October, specifically October 30th. Tennessee approved it in the very, very middle part of November, specifically November 12th. Florida approved it on November 19th, and then Kansas approved it very recently, just right before Thanksgiving, on November 23rd. So the big idea is that a lot of this is actually very, very recent, and most of it is either going to be taking effect either immediately or something in the very, very, very near future. The background story to why everything is happening is really just because there is a lot of controversy right now, as most people know, about the vaccine mandates. This is likely going to increase even further because of the Omicron variant that we kind of recently talked about. I did make a video talking all about how Omicron is going to potentially impact unemployment, so I'll put that at the very, very end screen. Highly recommended to check it out if you guys just kind of want to gauge about what's been happening on that side. But the story is really that because traditionally, for basically the history of just unemployment programs in general, it used to be something where if you were someone that either sadly got fired, although there are sometimes silver linings to it, because we've kind of talked about that in past videos. But the big idea is that traditionally, if you are someone that either ended up fired or you end up deciding to voluntarily quit your job, then you probably would have been someone that struggled to get onto the unemployment benefits program, under this new approved program, the beautiful part about it is that it means that essentially if you are someone that now loses work related to anything about the vaccine, then the beautiful thing is that now you can jump back onto the unemployment. And what's actually really even more golden is that because it was originally believed that you had to have been someone that was fired for that reason, but what's golden now is that this actually also applies even if you end up deciding to voluntarily resign, actually. So the beautiful thing is that it also now gives people the choice and the power to decide what they want to do if, say, for example, they end up just not feeling comfortable working or staying at the job that they're currently at. Now, what does this exactly mean if, let's say, you're someone that's just unemployed in general? Let's say, you're in a case where there is no job to quit because you don't even have a job in general, so you're kind of just out there. Well, why this is actually still considered really beneficial is because, as most of you guys know, is that there is something going on right now called the Great Resignation. And one of the reasons why many people are struggling to find work is not necessarily because they're just struggling to find a job in general, but it's also about trying to find a quality job. And I think that's one of the biggest things I think a lot of people have to try to really, or now are starting to think about, which is really, really great. I did make a video a while back, which I'll also put at the very, very end screen, that talks a little bit about like just life hacks in order to try to find work. So if you are someone that's trying to actively look for work and you're struggling, definitely I highly recommend checking that out. But the big idea is that it also means that for people that are looking for work, they can also be a little bit more picky now. And I think that is really the power to it. So it means that they're not kind of just pressured or forced a hand to take any job that comes in front, but that they also get a little bit more decision and more power to kind of now go out there and try to find an actual quality job, and knowing that if anything were to pop up about that particular job, then the beautiful thing is that now they have a backup plan. So it's not something where they're kind of just left out into the cold. And I think that's probably one of the really, really great promising news about what's happening right now. Now, what is the specific timeline when everything is going to be happening? Because I know that's a very common question. Is that a lot of the vaccine, technically many of these programs are actually taking into effect immediately. So that is the really, really great news. But it is expected to really, really actually be like physically happening, seeing people get on there, especially towards the very, very end of this year to essentially the beginning of next year. The reasoning given is because everything that we've been talking, or everything related to this program, is about the vaccine mandates. People that are potentially going to lose their job over it. And most of the companies or places or states that are enforcing this particular policy is enforcing it next year, so specifically the beginning of next year. Now, granted, as mentioned, is that the great thing is that because we now have a little bit of a choice in order to do this, it is anticipated that people can now potentially get onto this program maybe even earlier than anticipated. Of course, with the largest wave anticipated for the end of this year / beginning of next year, because this is when a lot of people are expected to actually be forced to potentially leave their jobs, because that's when the deadline is due for people to end up getting vaccinated. It's even more particularly true because now that we did recently have the outbreak of the Omicron variant, we don't know about what that specific, variant is going to do or how the next couple of weeks are going to look. But the big idea, I think it's very, very fair to say, is that you can kind of already see it all over news, media, and everything, is that because of this brand new variant, it does mean is that there's probably going to be an even greater push to get people to become vaccinated. But at the same time, there are also a lot of people that are very much against the vaccine. And I think that it's because of that reason, it also does mean that very likely there's going to be even more controversy, even more heat, and even more debate and conflict about whether or not one should support or not necessarily support the vaccine mandates. So the big idea is, I think that with this increased heat, controversy, and everything happening, it means that this program that they recently just approved, and hopefully for more states to come, is probably going to be even more needed now than even before we heard about the news about all of these variants that have now officially popped up. But beyond that is that that's what I really just wanted to share in today's video. I think the overall, really, if there's any takeaways, is that while it is true right now, sadly, we don't necessarily see like a big federal, unemployment extension for all 50 states. What it does show is that it's very, very probable, as just mentioned in past videos, that we may now start to see very, very focused unemployment programs, including the ones that we just talked about, which is now approved. So again, it shows that this isn't just like words that people are putting out, but this is actually something that's actually physically happening. And I think the great news is that it shows that it can at least hopefully happen on a very, very focused level. And it's something that is going on in GOP Republican states now, and hopefully, because it's fair to say a lot of the Democratic states are the ones, again, leaving politics aside, they're the ones that typically would support unemployment. It does show is that there's a little bit of a balanced playing field in terms of the states that do support unemployment, even if it is happening because of two totally different related reasons. But at the end of the day, unemployment is unemployment. And I think that is the really, really big thing about it. So with that being said, if you guys made it to the end, thank you guys so much for watching all the way through. Consider subscribing, hitting the bell. If you guys are brand new here, huge thanks if you guys have been here for a while especially. And as always, maybe consider smashing the like button if you guys haven't done so, and hope to see you guys next time. Thank you guys so much again.